Okay, we are attempting to do Cockscomb Ridge. I don't have exact directions, so we're going to do a little exploring today. This is a parking area on the main Mount Charleston Road, and we have just passed the Rainbow Subdivision and Bristlecone Pine Road, which is down this way. The reason I'm showing you this is because this trailhead is totally unmarked. So this is looking back down Charleston Road toward Rainbow Subdivision. And this is looking up toward Mount Charleston. And you can see a good shot of Cathedral Rock right here. But anyway, here is the unmarked parking area, and I'm hoping that this is going to take us up to Cockscomb Ridge. We're at about 7,000 feet, and I understand that Cockscomb Ridge is a little above 9,000, so we're looking at a 2,000 foot elevation gain, and I see three potential trails. There's one over, you can see the beast over here. One over here, and one over right here, and one over here. So three potential trailheads. I'm going to assume that they all lead in the same direction. However, I'm going to take the one on the left simply because looking at this ridge system, if this does lead up to Cockscomb Ridge, I would want to be attaining altitude more rapidly, and it looks like I would then be on top of that ridge and then going upward. But I do not know if this is going to lead me up to Cockscomb Ridge. I don't have exact directions. After today, though, my goal is that you will have exact directions. Cockscomb Ridge, very beautiful hike, and when you are on Cathedral Rock, and I have a page on Cathedral Rock on LasVegasAreaTrails.com, you can look straight across Kyle Canyon and see Cockscomb Ridge, which also makes me believe, oh, I wonder if the trailhead is further up. But, you know, we're going to try this. And by the way, this is, I'm hoping, a lighter hike because I'm still in recovery mode from lots of heavy, 20-mile plus and 6,000 foot elevation gain hikes and runs, hikes/runs this summer. And I've got a little bit of a knee issue on my left knee, and just want to find some easier hikes. And then, who knows, this could be like not the easier hike, but in the Mount Charleston area. But hey, we'll find out. Okay, here we go. Okay, I'm on top of that ridge that we were looking at a moment ago, noticing a couple things. One is that the view is tremendous from up here. Here you see the south ridge of Kyle Canyon. There's Harris Mountain. And here's that saddle on the Harris Mountain climb between Griffith Peak and Harris Mountain, which means that Griffith Peak is actually up this way and quite possibly right up here or maybe beyond. I'm not totally sure, but I would say that's a good candidate for Griffith Peak, that high point there. One thing I know for sure is that here is Cathedral Rock, and from my climb up to the top of Cathedral Rock and looking across at the Cockscomb Ridge, I need to angle a little more this way. And the second thing I noticed besides the beautiful view is that anything resembling a trail has totally disappeared. So I'm pretty much navigating ridges, and it looks like there's a higher ridge up ahead behind those trees, and I'm thinking that that may be my next destination. Get to the top of that ridge and look around. Let's see, what else do we see from here? You know, that cliff behind the trees up ahead, that could potentially be on Cockscomb Ridge. I don't know. Let's see, take a little closer look. You know, that is looking suspiciously like Cockscomb Ridge. Now, can I approach it from up here, or should I have taken that trail to the right? We shall find out very soon. In fact, I'm just gonna hang along the top of this ridge till I get closer and have a better view of the approach, because there's got to be an approach that leads up to those cliffs behind the trees, and we'll see when we get a more open view in a moment. Okay, so that's where we are, and onward. By the way, that ridge that we came down descending from Harris Mountain, and you can see that on the Griffith Harris circuit page. That ridge is straight front and center, and we descended there and ended up in the Rainbow Subdivision, and the Rainbow Subdivision is immediately below us. And then we navigated our way along the bottom over to our end point, which was Cathedral Rock. So that's another experience we had. Just thought I'd make a note of that. Well, one more quick note. Why am I making such an attempt to point out all the surroundings? Because since I have no trail that I'm on, these surroundings are going to be my guide on the way back. So always good to look around and know what is in the landscape, so that you can use those land markers to navigate back. Of course, you could have a GPS, but you know, I don't like to navigate with that. I like to feel closer to the earth and just navigate by the feel of the earth around me. Okay, I'm just about 50 or 60 feet beyond where we were in that last video. And when this illustrates what happens when you take a logical route, you eventually very often come up to a trail. And so what it looks like we've arrived at is an actual trail that must go down to another trailhead, but this is looking much more official. And I think I would still park where I parked and go up that ridge to get to this point, because it's a very nice parking area, trailhead parking area. But it looks like we've got an actual trail here. Let's see where this leads. Okay, this trail is looking good, and as you can see, it's leading toward what I believe is Cockscomb Ridge. And so it looks like we're on track, which means that if you were to take, it's kind of interesting what I'm seeing around here. If you were to park one parking area beyond where I parked, you might start out on this trail, which is a pretty nice trail, but still parking where I parked and just going up the ridge and finding this trail, that also worked. Now, remember there were 3 potential trailheads at the beginning of my this experience today, where we parked the beast. Now it looks like, looking down here, it looks like there's a trail that's connecting with this main trail. And what that tells me is that the other trails would have led up to this point also. And here you can see this other trail. So I believe this is one of the other trails that we were looking at, the one on the right perhaps, where I parked the car. And so what this illustrates is you just go logical route and look at the large landmarks around you, and you will stumble upon trails perhaps, but everything leads up to the point that is your destination when you just take that logical approach. Now, I may eat these words in a bit, but we'll see. By the way, I've only been going about 10 minutes, and I'm probably talking at least 10 minutes, but we started out at 6,880 feet approximately. We are now at 7,160. So just let you know that we've only gone up a couple hundred feet, but we've already potentially stumbled upon the route we need to take. Okay, now the trail is leading off in another direction away from the ridge, and so Cockscomb Ridge, but I see a little split off that goes in the direction I want to go. So it looks to me like what we want is to get to the top of this area, and then we would be able to see where we're headed. It's probably good that I did not take that first large ridge. Had I done that and continued up that ridge, I would have had to descend and reascend. However, if this is Cockscomb Ridge we're looking at, that could have been a better way. There was a split off in that direction just a little bit earlier that I passed. So, well, let's just explore and see where we end up. But I believe if this is Cockscomb Ridge actually, which it looks like it's in the right spot to be, that I need to be heading up in that direction. So let's just see what happens. Okay, I actually backtracked a little. There's that main trail, and I took the first left. It started out as what looks like a wash, but then I'm seeing a faint trail here. Who knows? It may end, or it may. It looks logically like it's leading in the right direction, so let's just see what happens. Okay, now we're in a wash. I don't like to navigate in washes because you've got all sorts of barriers. Looks like I could go up though. So we may try that, or we could attempt to stay in this wash, but as you can see, it's looking a little crazy. So, oh boy. Let's just see what happens. I'm going to try this little uphill. It may end. It looks like it might end too soon. So, well, let's just see. Yeah, it ends, and it looks like I'm going to end up in the brush here. So I'm going to go back down to the wash, which looks like it's heading more in the direction I want to go at this point. So let's see what happens. Okay, pretty crazy up there. Plus there's a huge hornet's nest. And so I'm going to try another route, that other route we saw a moment ago. I got hornets all around me, so just to avoid having to deal with a sting, I'm heading around another direction, and this wash is just crazy. Okay, I went back up that larger trail a little further past the wash, and it looks like I'm onto something here that's going in the direction I want to go. So let's see what happens. I took a left off that trail, the next large left. Well, I ended up traversing a lot of wilderness area, eventually stumbling on this hopeful trail. It is leading in the right direction. And you can see that by looking up and seeing what looks like Cockscomb Ridge up ahead. And we're headed straight there. So the way I would go then, and what do you know? Here's another split off. So there must have been another way to get to this point too. This might be the trail that comes up from that wash. I don't know. So we're going to continue on up this. And if this works, then the way to go would be to park where I parked. Head up that first ridge and find that large trail. Continue up the large trail until there is a definite split off to the left, a little further than where I went. And that's where you would be likely to come upon this trail, which is a nice little trail heading toward what we believe is Cockscomb Ridge. Okay, so it looks like we are on track according to what I know of Cockscomb Ridge from just research. And what tells me that is there's a tree up ahead that has a mine claim sign on it. And that is one of the markers on the trail. I believe we turn, well, it looks like it goes one of two directions. You can go to the right or the left. So now or you could go straight up. So now we're going to do a little exploring and see which that is. Well, the choice to the right is leading up a wash. It's mighty wet, and being mid-October, I'm noticing we once again have hornets in the area. So, well, we just got to see if this is going to do it. Maybe I should have gone straight up that hill to the higher ridge. And I'm thinking more and more, I just don't like to be in a wash, especially wet, especially with hornets. And so I'm going to go back to that miner's tree and go straight up the hill. Well, here we are going straight up. We're above that miner's tree and heading toward an upper ridge where we'll be able to see where we are a little better. And it doesn't look like I'm the first person to have taken this route, so that's a good sign. Okay, you're seeing wilderness navigation at its best or worst. And so I'm above the miner's tree. I came straight up from the miner's tree, and now I'm breaking out into the open. You can see Harris Mountain right over here. And you can see Griffith Peak over here. Good landmarks for on the way back, because I'm going to need to find this very spot to get back down where I came from. And there's a cliff system over here with a huge ridge, and it looks like I might be able to keep ascending here. We will find out, and hopefully there's a connector to that other ridge system up ahead, and I'll be able to see when I get to a high point where Cockscomb Ridge is. So let's continue on up, and perhaps we'll be heading back today, having reached a dead end, or maybe we'll find the way up. Here we go. Okay, once again through the trees. I believe I'm looking at Cockscomb Ridge. Not 100% sure, but continue up the ridge I'm on right now, and let's see if this connects. Okay, continuing to pretty much head up the center of this ridge that was above the miner's tree, and looks like we've got a ridge system to the right on the way down, a ridge system to the left on the way down, so we'll want to head on the way back, find our way back to the trail. We're going to want to head pretty much toward that saddle to the right of Harris Peak. Okay, and I can see here, look at this. Looks like somebody has come straight up this little avalanche slope, which is a lot steeper than the one I came up, and they ended up at this same spot, and it looks like they continued on up this way. Let's continue on up, see where we lead. And by the way, I can't be sure, but it looks like this up ahead is a good candidate for Cockscomb Ridge. So whether we're on the best route there or not, we do not know until we get up into the open up ahead. Bit of a better view at this point, and as you can see, here's one ridge to my left, one ridge to my right, and Harris Mountain immediately between. The reason I'm pointing these out is and there's the Rainbow Subdivision down there. The reason I'm pointing these out is because this is my route on the way back. I left a little breadcrumb here. So we will see if this does it. In the meantime, we're heading up, and as you can see, it's navigating around through this brush without stepping on anything living. We want to preserve what's here, so we'll just stick to the rocks. And here we see what could be a part of Cockscomb Ridge. We'll find out in a little bit if that actually is a part of Cockscomb Ridge, which means that we may be on the wrong ridge system and we need to be on that ridge over there. I do not know. So we're going to learn a lot today. Maybe we won't make it up to the top, but next time we'll have that much more knowledge and find a more direct route. Breaking out a little more into the open, and I believe that's a good candidate for Cockscomb Ridge, but what I wanted to show you is somebody else has made some breadcrumbs on this trail. You can see the little cairn, about 4 or 5 rocks, and there's one a little bit ways down this trail, plus the one that I did. So those are the little breadcrumbs that are going to lead me on the way back. But let's go ahead and continue on up and break out in the open and see what we can see. Continuing on up the ridge above the miner's tree. As you can see, we're on the ridge right between this ridge system, on the right looking on the way down. Of course, this ridge system on the left, and there's Rainbow Subdivision, Harris Mountain and the saddle on the way back, we're going to want to head down this ridge, which is largely unmarked, and find that miner's tree. So, and then we get back on what looks like a trail and head back. So here's an interesting little breadcrumb right up here. So this is going to be my mark, hopefully, that tells me when it's time to head down the ridge. And you can see there is a kind of a trail here. Well, I wouldn't call it a trail, but I just call it evidence of not being the first person to walk this way. That's always a good sign. Somebody else did this, and hopefully that other person found the way to Cockscomb Ridge. So we're going to go over this little ridge here, and we'll be able to see what's on the other side. And I think that's where we're going to see something that looks like Cockscomb Ridge. Okay, again, looking down, which is a good thing to do because you get an idea what you need to do on the way back. And it really helps to know these mountains because now I can see a whole lot of landmarks around me. We're above that rocky outcrop that we saw in the last video. There it is. And the way back is straight toward Harris Mountain, a little bit to the right toward that saddle, and then you can see Griffith Peak up here. And if I keep that bearing, I should end up back at the miner's tree. We so hope that's going to happen. And it looks like there could be another way up, which would be up this ridge. Could be another way up, which would be up that ridge. But I just don't trust them. I don't know. Because I don't know what they're like when you get near the bottom and if there's a cliff ending. I do know that even though there's an avalanche slope here, that you can get back in this direction, and others have tried. So I'm going to continue that way, but just want to show you there is Cockscomb Ridge, and to the right of Cockscomb Ridge and Cockscomb Peak is the junction on the Trail Canyon and North Trail Junction. And here you have Mummy Mountain. So now we're beginning to see a lot of familiar stuff around us. Up here, I gotta watch my footing. This is a little precarious. Oh, let's go down this way. And over here is Fletcher Peak. We've stood on this point. And as I mentioned, and who knows, there's Robber's Roost is somewhere around here too. We'll discover that later. Harris Mountain. And then, of course, the route between Harris Mountain and Griffith Peak. There is Griffith Peak. It's nice to be able to see these things. And let's do a turn here. Here is the south ridge. It's the south ridge of Kyle Canyon. Sorry. And then it disappears behind Cockscomb Ridge right here. And there you see Cockscomb Peak. And I'm told it's actually the small one on the right. It's hard to believe. So there you have it, 360-degree view back to Mummy Mountain. And if I continue on ahead, it looks like I could actually meet Cockscomb Ridge from this point. So I would say this is a very valid approach. So far, we'll see. We'll go a little bit further. We may not get all the way up to the ridge today. Got to turn around. I've hit my turnaround point, but it's good to know that this route would probably do it. We'll see. Again, looking back, continuing with my bearing, that on the way back is going to be straight toward Harris Mountain and a little bit to the right toward that saddle to get back down. But now there's a lot more coming into view. Got to watch my footing here. But there you see Mummy Mountain. Here's the ridge I'm on. I think I need to descend a little bit, not go right up the center because it's pretty rocky. I think if I go on the right side of these rocky outcrops, then I'll hit, hopefully, another ridge that's going to lead up to Cockscomb Ridge. There we are. Okay, so continuing on up. Okay, I'm going to continue on up. It looks like there's a potential connector here to the saddle, it's the saddle to the right of Cockscomb Peak, and that saddle is just not too far up, which if I'm successful, that is going to lead right up to the junction of Trail Canyon North Loop Trail. And I'm tempted to go up to that point today and just take the Trail Canyon Trail back down so I can be on a regular trail, and then take the road back to where I parked my car. So make this a loop. Let's see if that's possible. It looks very possible from here, but who knows what lies between here and the junction of North Loop and Trail Canyon. Okay, two choices. I could continue on up this ridge, see if it meets Cockscomb Ridge up there, and if there's an easy route, and then go to the right, and I know the junction between Trail Canyon and North Loop Trails is right up in this area up here, straight ahead. Or I could take the lower route and then head up to that little saddle and then take a left and head on up. Not sure which one I'm going to do. I'm tempted to take the lower route here, a little more avalanche slope action happening, but it's a very clear route that actually would get us to our destination. This, we just don't know what it looks like up at the top, and I can certainly on another day come down from the top and explore this area. Once again, we are continuing to ascend this ridge, which is immediately between that ridge to the left, and heading straight toward Harris Mountain, and this ridge to the right. And if I were to head back down, I would keep pretty much to the center of this ridge, and there you can see the Rainbow Subdivision in the distance there. So yes, I could go back down that way, but I'm thinking I might want to, I'm kind of aching for something familiar at this point, and so I might want to take the shortest route to the junction, which looks like it's down here. Not sure, but I think that's the way I'm going to go, which is another avalanche slope to go, but hey, looks like it leads to where I want it to go. So there you have it. Mummy Mountain, Fletcher Peak, Cockscomb Peak, and south ridge of Kyle Canyon, Griffith Peak, saddle between Griffith and Harris Mountain, and there's Harris Mountain. So that gives you an idea. Oh, and by the way, in the distance here, just to the left of that ridge, you can see La Madre Mountain. See that little permanent snow field there? Okay, so that's what we're looking at now, and I have no idea what lies ahead, but I think I'm going to see if it's possible to head along this avalanche slope and then on up to the junction and save Cockscomb Peak for another day. Okay, onward. Well, I took the upper route rather than try to descend and then reascend, and it's so far looking like a good choice. There's Cockscomb Ridge and 360-degree view, Mummy Mountain, Fletcher Peak, Harris Mountain, Griffith Peak, and then the south ridge of Kyle Canyon. And if I were to head back the way I came up, I'd be trying to stay right to as much the center of this ridge system all the way down as possible. But my preference is to connect up here with the junction and then head down the main trail and not deal with any more of these avalanche ridges. So let's see if we can do that. By the way, my reading is 8,440 feet, and that peak up there looks like 9,000. I think it's a little over 9,000. So anyway, just to give you a perspective, we're going to end up about 500 feet below the Cockscomb Peak. Okay, onward we go. Okay, quick 360-degree view. We are at 8,660 feet now. There we're looking up at Cockscomb Ridge, and we're going to see if we can circle around this side, the left side of this outcrop, and connect with the trail, the trail junction. If we can't, then guess what we have to do? We have to head back down this ridge the way we came up. And there's Harris Mountain. So please, please let this lead where we want it to lead. If I can just get up to that ridge up there, I think I have made it. So we'll give it a try. Worst comes to worst, yes, we will head back down the way we came up. It'll be slow going, but we'll give it a shot. Okay, onward. Okay, it looks like I could continue on up this ridge and end up in this spot right there. But then I need to take a right and head down. And I know from the looks of this that I can't head down this side. I'd have to head down the other side. I can't see the other side from here. So what it looks like is I may be taking a trip back the way I came. Mummy Mountain. I do not want to go down this ridge, so I am going to try to head over and skirt this lower area but there's no guarantee I can do that. I'll take a look at it and see if it's possible. In the meantime, what you can see up ahead is a great view of La Madre Mountain. So it's always good to enjoy the scenery at a point where we don't know where we are and how we're going to get back to where we started. So, let's see. Let's take another look at La Madre Mountain. Nice little distraction. There we are. Beautiful, beautiful. And you can see the Las Vegas Valley in the background. Okay, and if it's possible to head on over to the junction, it would be skirting along this avalanche ridge. It is certainly not looking really hopeful, but I'll give it a try just for a little ways, and then if it doesn't work, down we go the way we came. And we know that we just take this ridge down, 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 and keep heading toward Harris Mountain and Rainbow Subdivision down there, and just try to stay on our feet. So here's a really interesting view of, there's Griffith Peak, and then there's the area of the South Climb Trail. A little wash down there. Okay, and I believe that we're looking at Cathedral Rock right down here. Yes, I'm pretty sure. Right in the center. So, a couple other views. Okay, onward. Let's see what happens. Well, hallelujah. About an hour and 10 minutes from that high point I was on just a moment ago. I'm back at the Miner's Tree, as you can see. Have totally navigated that ridge. I think that turning around a lot on the way up helped me to keep my bearing. What I was looking at was I knew I needed to stay in the center of the ridge. And when I reached a rocky outcrop, I needed to skirt it to the right or the left. And sometimes I saw a faint reminder of where I had been. Sometimes I saw nothing, but I just looked at what was most obvious, and eventually made it back down to this point. So it really helps to turn around a lot when you're in unfamiliar ground and look at all the, the 360-degree view. It imprints subconsciously the trail direction in your mind, and that really helps. I did not make one wrong turn. So that's pretty much this story, and I'm going to take this branch of the trail here and see if I can hit that large trail, and then turn right and then head back down to my starting point. So we'll see how that goes, but the hardest part is done. And again, it was only an hour and 10 minutes coming down, which was probably about a half hour less than going up. So actually it was the best way to go, because I'll end up at my car, which is nice, as opposed to if I'd gone up to that junction, I would have had to, it would have been an hour and at least a half hour more to get to the junction if I could have. and then another hour to get down to the Trail Canyon trailhead, so that would have been an hour and a half, and then I would have had to add another 20 minutes, 30 minutes to get to the car. That could have been a 2-hour trip. As it is, I should be at the car where I started in about an hour and a half instead of 2 hours. So it was actually better to head back down the way I came up. So here we go. Okay, I'm back down on that large trail, and now from this perspective I can say for certain that the rock on the right is Mummy Mountain. The rock on the left is Cockscomb Peak. So there you have, there's Cockscomb Peak. So there you have the scheme of things without, that undue wilderness experience in the very beginning that slowed me down, lost about a half hour, maybe. Here's that big trail, and then you come up to this point where you see kind of an opening area, and here's a little offshoot that goes to the, it's almost like a U-turn. That's the one that takes you up to the miner's tree, and then of course you just head up the ridge. And by the way, the ridge that we head up is actually, I believe it's that ridge there. So now things are all in perspective. So we headed up that ridge, and then just at the close to the base of the large rock on the left on the horizon there, which is on Cockscomb Ridge, we could have ascended up to Cockscomb Ridge, but I want to see what it looks like from the top down before I take that last section. And we could have hit the junction of the Trail Canyon Trail and the North Loop Trail. But on the other hand, I wasn't sure. We would have had to skirt behind that, behind the rock just to the right of that large rock up there. We would have had to skirt between those two and then behind. And I wasn't sure if there was a way to go behind. So that's why I turned around and came back down the ridge. But I can get us up to that point now, right at the, just at the right side of that large rock, which is Cockscomb Ridge and Peak. And I'll check that from the top down in our next adventure here. So there you have it. Let's see. Oh, okay. Sorry. There you have it, the Cockscomb Ridge from the bottom. And next time we try it from the top. And by the way, my knee's feeling really good. I think it really helped to have that experience of just, going uphill. I have my knee braces on, and it worked my knee, and I believe really was a healing thing. Got the blood circulation going, which contains the healing of the body, is that circulation. So this has been a very good day. Now we're heading back to the Beast where we parked in the beginning, and that will be this day's experience. Okay, there is the main trail, and there's a split off to the left. And curiously, the only destination I see this split off could go would be right where I parked my car. So I'm going to take the split off to the left, even though I haven't taken it before. Let's see if it takes us right down to where the beast is parked. If not, I can always come back. The good news, that left fork did lead back down to the highway. Let's see exactly where it comes out. Okay, here we are. Exactly where we began. Notice how you can't see the beast. It's like, is it gone? Or is it there? So small. Okay, and then we come down, and there's the beast. And here we are, where we started. And we're actually, what was it? 1:45 when I started heading down the ridge, and it's now 2:25, and so we're looking at about an hour and 40 minutes coming down, which is not bad at all. And by the way, remember there were 3 little trailheads, the one on the right, middle, and we took the one to the left, headed straight up that ridge. If we take the middle one, that is the one that leads right up to the main trail without having to climb the ridge. The one thing about it is that it is in a wash, so you're not going to be running lickety-split at top speed, because you've got to be really agile and watch your footing, because there are a lot of turns and rocks, but not an inordinate amount of turning and moving around. So it's a decent wash trail, and there's a lot of good solid trail along the way too. So my suggestion is, next time we head up from the bottom, we would take this middle trailhead and then hit that main trail, take a right, and then take a left where it forks to the ridge that leads up to Cockscomb Ridge, where we were at our height today. But the next experience of this is going to be coming down from the top and exploring Cockscomb Ridge itself to see how easy or difficult it is to reach that point we were at when we turned around today. So it's been a very good day. Feeling very good. My knee's feeling better than it's felt all week. And, you know, I've been on it for 4.5 hours. But it's been, you know, not a lot of pounding running, just climbing and stretching my knee, which is exactly what it needed for healing. So we'll see how it feels tonight, tomorrow, and into the week. I did not slip once, so I didn't knock anything out of alignment, which I think is what caused my knee to have a problem in the first place. So anyway, wonderful day. And there's Cockscomb Ridge approach. Signing off.